Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Dougazor, and as many of you know from my stream at twitch.tv/Dougazor, I've been playing a lot of Dauntless. And I've been particularly fond of this setup in-game. So I believe this setup is the perfect combination of both offensive and defensive, and the best part is that you can get the majority of this build off the ground from the very beginning of the game. And what's so great about this set is that the Gnasher gear, 2 pieces, will give you the tough bonus. So the cloak and the treads will give you tough. And what that means is right off the gates, you get plus 100 max health, and you get plus 10% increased healing from all sources with the level 2 bonus. And as you rank it up through the game, you get even more health, and you get even more increased healing. As well, the grips give you one of the bread and butter abilities, such as Rage Hunter, which will give you extra damage versus enraged behemoths, and almost every behemoth will become enraged at one point, so it's just inherently more damage. And then they have great slots. So what I like to do, and this is once you get into the late game and you start crafting all of your cells to spec in your favorite abilities, is I go ahead and top out the Gnasher grips with another Rage Hunter cell. So I'll have Rage Hunter plus 6, and then I will put take the treads and the grips, and I will use Rage, which is different from Rage Hunter. And what that does is it increases your damage when your health is low. And so when you're under 50% health, you do 25% more damage. And this is particularly useful when you unlock Iceborne. Iceborne is kind of divisive among the Dauntless community, mainly because it's very overpowered for defense. And what Iceborne does is if you're under 50% health, you gain plus 30% decreased damage taken and plus 8% lifesteal that doesn't heal you beyond 50% health. And so this works perfectly with Rage because you're already going to be under 50% health, so it doesn't really matter if you're healing beyond that, because then Rage won't activate. So Iceborne's perfect for that. Now, you won't have Iceborne right away, and if you can't get Iceborne right away, what I recommend doing is trading out the Gnasher treads for something like the Boreas feat, and so that will give you some Iceborne right off the bat. And then, instead of this Skullforge, which is an item that you'll get very farther in the game, you can use the Skarn, which replaces that tough bonus. And regardless of whether or not you want the Iceborne right out of the gates, you can still use this tough helmet. Because if you look at it, the Gnasher helmet gives you Bloodless. And Bloodless is a very niche ability that you won't be using on every monster, and it won't be applicable every time. When it comes to the weapons, it's mainly personal preference. One weapon that I found very helpful in the early game when I was learning Dauntless was the Skarn Smashers. And this weapon, how it works, and it's not necessarily the Smashers. You can use any Skarn weapon, but I'm particularly fond of the Aether Strikers. But these Smashers, what happens is when you deal damage, you gain a stacking shield that lasts 12 seconds, and it'll keep refreshing. And so what happens is as long as you're hitting them, you're getting shielded. And when you're getting shielded, even if you get hit, you're not going to be taking that much damage. Right now I'm running the Inferno's Flames, which are the Hellion strikers, which you get fairly early in the game, about the early to mid-game. And those will give you 2 strength power cells. And that allows me to also get overpower from the Inferno's Flames, and also spec in another overpower to get plus 6, and another Rage Hunter to go with my Gnasher's grips. And so what I've got here is a perfect combination of defense and offense, because I have Iceborne and Tough, which will increase my max health, increase my healing, gives me lifesteal and its armor. And then I have 3 very strong offensive skills. So I have Overpower, which gives me plus 60 damage versus staggered behemoths. Rage, which gives me extra damage based off of Iceborne once I'm under 50% health. And Rage Hunter, which gives me plus 40% damage versus enraged behemoth. When it comes to your Lantern, I like to use Drask's Eye just for the extra damage. And then in the slot, I'll usually put something like Etheric Attunement in there just to round it out. And it will give you extra utility from your Lantern ability. And then, like I said, for the helmet, the Skullforge is a very fun helmet to use, and I particularly like it just for quality of life. I like to roll a lot with my strikers, and so the Skullforge is very nice for that, because when I'm doing damage, I'm getting a stamina shield. And that stamina shield will deplete slowly over a short period, but usually I'll use it before then. And it basically gives me some extra stamina. And I think it's one of the best single items in the game for giving you stamina like that, as long as you're doing damage. This set is also very good because you're able to not have any type disadvantages. So you can wear this set almost anywhere. I particularly like it in Escalation because of the Iceborne and the Tough. And it's just a very safe set. I don't usually use consumables that often, but if things get dicey, I like to have transfusion grenades, pylons, and bulwark tonics, just to give me as much of a fighting chance as I can with health regen. It may not be the most optimal, but it is also helpful for helping out teammates if I need to. If teammates are out of revives and I'm getting them up and they're coming back at 100 health, it's really helpful to throw down a life spring pylon and let them sit by it to regain some health, so that they're more motivated to keep fighting. So yeah, I think this set is great. Like I said, for the helmet, I think the Skarn helmet is very good early game. The Drask helmet will give you etheric attunement and a power cell, but you may need that Iceborne cell later on once you get it. If you don't have Iceborne right away, you could always put Tough into these cells if you have some Tough things. As long as you're not past +6 on any of your perks, it's fine to put anything that you have in here to try and get it up. But overall, I would say the priorities are Tough and Rage Hunter. And then once you can get Iceborne and you can get Rage, these two kind of go together. So I would try to put these in around the same time. And yeah, I think that's a perfect setup for the mid to late game. And like I said, it will grow with you. So when you're using the set, you can get the Gnasher set right off the bat. It's one of the first monsters you ever fight. And this set is very good because you are able to keep upgrading it with the neutral orbs and with the dire orbs that you'll be getting. It's one of the first things that you'll run into. And so these monsters are very easy to hunt. It's very easy to gather this stuff. And overall, I think this set is very nice just because you don't have to worry as much about the game. You can take your leisurely time learning how to play the game. If you get hurt and you get knocked down under 50% health, that increases your damage. So I think it's very great for those purposes. And even then, with Rage, you're not really sacrificing a lot of DPS by going this tankier build. I mean, maybe you think that Predator is the only way to go, and it can be very good. And I'm not trying to discredit Predator, because some people have some really impressive times and some really impressive skills, and they're able to use Predator to their advantage. But I think for the vast majority of players, something along the lines of this build is going to be very useful and very helpful for them. So if you liked this video and you want to see more Dauntless content, make sure to follow me on, subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment, like, do all those fun things. I reply to every comment and I read them all, so a comment is very much appreciated. And I'm also doing a lot of stuff on Twitch, so if you follow my links, I'm streaming on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I hope to see you there. All right, thank you guys. See you in the next one.